Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. Hope everybody's doing all right. Still have a few that's still trying to connect, so let's give them a few seconds and then we'll get rolling. Hey, somebody enabled their camera. That's all right. All right, let's see. Think everybody's good. Okay, cool. So, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's doing well. Ready to get this weekend started, right? So, our weekends get started on Wednesday. As I mentioned last class, we'll touch on a few things out of chapter two, but the full lecture, our first full lecture, will be on Monday when we get into chapter three. If this is your first session or first time meeting in Zoom and you have any questions, feel free to stay back so we can make sure you're okay with what's going on and what's going to happen moving forward. Um, we didn't do any lecture last class. All we did was just talk about how the class is set up and how the class is going to be run. So every class I will record and then I will send that lecture out. I normally do that on a Friday. Maybe I can get to it on Thursdays, but normally I do that on a Friday. But I'll do it, send it to you before the week is out. So anything you miss, you will be able to take a look at and review. Any quick questions? Like I said, anything, pertaining to registration, setup, or anything like that. Like I said, if you stay back after class, I'll make sure to get those questions. But anything, of real importance that we have to get to before we do anything? Everybody good? Straight?
For the definitions for chapter 2, when you want us to draw the graphs, do you want like in depth or you just want the shape and how they're gonna look?
Yeah, just a rough sketch. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Nothing major. Great question. Great question. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about a few things, and then we'll be poised to jump into the weekend. You guys know what you got to do as far as chapter one and chapter two is concerned, and those definitions your classmate just mentioned. And if you don't, like I said, we can talk about it before you leave today. Oh, one. I thought I had more than that. Anyway, I'll check to make sure. All right, so there are one or two things that people ask me questions about out of chapter two. Remember I mentioned chapter one, chapter two are mostly definitions, terminology, and then graphs. I'm not the best drawer in the world, so me drawing a graph and then try to, as notes and then try to explain it to you may not be the best move to make. So that's why I let you guys go in there and look at the graphs. Most of the time, people don't have that many questions about them, but if you do, feel free to ask. Get in there this weekend, my math lab this weekend, attack chapters one and chapters two, see if you have any questions generated, and I will open up the floor for questions on next class. Don't forget, we normally have 2 hours. So every day is opportunity for questions if you have them, whether it be before we do lecture or after we do the lecture. Um, there will be room for questions because I will not be talking to you guys for a whole 2 hours. I just flow a little different, with regards to that. So in chapter two, it does get into the distribution of shapes. I believe that's what your classmate was referring to. We talking about your graphs, or she might be talking about another graph, but I know distribution of shapes. The first one, which is the main one that we're going to be leaning on throughout the rest of this course, it's going to keep coming up, and it's your normal distribution, your bell-shaped curve. It's symmetric about the mean, so your mean is in the middle. Um, so let me look at this. So this purple, wouldn't be here. You would just have your mean in the middle. But all I was saying is that's symmetric about your mean. So whatever's going on the right side of your mean is going on the left side and vice versa. It reflects about your mean. And it's considered, like I said, your normal distribution or your bell-shaped curve. So like I said right here, oh, still have my eraser on. So that's why I pointed out right here. Remember this one because that's the one that's going to come up time and time again. So what it shows is that the bulk of your data is in the middle, which makes sense because your mean is your average. So the bulk of your data is right there in the mean, in the middle, where your average is. And then as you move away from your data, it's less and less. A move away from the mean, excuse me, there's less and less of your data. Then you have your uniform distribution, in which there's the same level of distribution throughout your data set, or very similar level of distribution throughout your data set. So that's why you have a block shape. All right. Is everybody good before I scroll up? Don't want to go up if you're still copying. All right, so the next one, and the next two are the real reasons why I always try to make sure we're okay with with these distribution shapes. Skewed left. When I think of something being skewed left, to me it seems like it means it's being pushed to the left. So that means I would think in my mind the bulk of the data is to the left, but in actuality it means the opposite. If your data set is considered skewed left, that means the tail is going to be to the left. So let's notice what I have here. The tail of your data is to the left. So that means the bulk of your data is actually going to be to the right. So just making sure you see what it means to be skewed left. And I believe your chapter 2 definitions do ask, about your shape and distribution as you give a rough sketch. Somebody's at the mailbox, and so somebody need to. Sorry, y'all. That's what happens when you teach from home, and you teach right at the door. But yeah. So that's what it means to be skewed left. Your tail of your data, the least amount of your data is to the left. And then skewed right is the opposite. The tail of your data will be to the right, but the bulk of your data is over here to the left. All right. Any problems with any of those before we go any further? Make sure we're okay.
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
You may have already said it, but I was helping my kids with their homework.
Oh, terrible mother.
I know I'm the worst. I'm sorry. Where were the definitions again? I apologize about that.
Okay, just stay on before we leave because I have to go into my math lab and log on and stuff. So stay on, and before we leave, I'll make sure you see all of that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem. All right, and of course that's for anybody who have any questions about anything. Make sure you stay on after class, and then I'll make sure you're good before we go. All right, anything about this? Everybody good before I scroll up? All right, so next thing, stem leaf plot. Let me scroll up a little further. All right, so the leaf, that's just another way to represent your data set or represent information. Same thing like bar graph, pie graph, all those just different ways of representing the same data set or the same amount of data. A leaf, when you talk about stem leaf plot, your leaf is going to be the rightmost digit of a data value, and the stem will be all of the values that precede the rightmost digit. So when we look at the number 53 right here, your leaf is going to be 3, and 5 would be the stem. And then here we have the number 127. The leaf, the rightmost digit will be 7, and the 12 will be your stem. Okay. So once again, your leaf is the rightmost digit. You go all the way to the end of your data value. The rightmost digit will be your leaf. Everything that's before that rightmost digit will be your stem.
Does that mean that the leaf is always just one digit? It could never be greater than, it could only be 0 to 9?
Yes, absolutely correct. Mm-hmm.
Next.
So even if you have, let's say, I don't know if you guys are gonna see, I don't believe you guys will see this, but you also could do it with decimals. So you have 10.1, and let's say you have 7.9, and then if you just have 8, well then that's 0.0. These values right here to the rightmost of your data value will be your leaves. The 1 to 9 and 0 will be your leaves. Yep. All right, so let's take that thought process and look at this data set right here. Just put a few data values. They don't really mean anything. It's just me listing a bunch of numbers, and we're going to use or set them up according to the stem leaf plot. So we have 41, and I wrote them in order. So your data set will not always appear in order, but I wrote these in order. You have 41, 50, 56, 71, 72 twice, 75, 80, 80, 82, 83, and we got 84, we got 88 twice, 89, 91, 92, 93, 100, 101 twice, and then 112. All right, give you a chance to copy those down, and then we'll turn those to the stem leaf plot. Where's my gun? Look, there it goes. All right, so notice I've already picked out or identified what's the minimum value and what's the maximum value. So that means that this data set goes from the 40s to the 110s. You know, we got 41 is the minimum value, 112 is the maximum value. So we're going from 40s to 110s as far as our data set. So I'm going to let me erase these leaves, erase this real quick. Make sure we're okay with how this is set up. So that's how I will set up my stem leaf plot. So like I said, we're going from 40s to 110. So I got 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then 110. Is everybody okay so far? All right. So then for each leaf that we have, we will represent that in the leaf column. So we have 41. So we put a 1 right here, 50, and 56. Now we do not have any values in the 60s. So what we do not do is put a 0 right there because that will represent the number 60. All you would do is leave it blank. And that lets you know that we did not have any numbers in the 60s. Then we got 71, 72, and if 72 appears twice, then you write the number 2 twice. 75, 80 twice, 82, 83, 84, 88 twice, then 89, 91, 92, 93, 100, 101, 101, and then 112. All right. Make sure we're okay with how we set up our stem leaf plot. All right. So once again, it's just another way of representing your data or representing your data set. You may ask, well, why would I do this versus anything else? Well, it just depends on what type of audience you have. If you were to look at this, this is the same thing as a bar graph. You know, if you were to, you know, use it as pictures. But according to your audience, maybe numbers appeal to them more than you know, pictures. You know, let's say you go into the scientific community in order to present some data, maybe that looks more appealing. You may think that looks more appealing to that type of audience versus going to business-oriented people who may just want to see pictures, and that will be the best illustration for them. I don't know. You know, whenever you're trying to do a presentation, you always want to do research on the audience that you're dealing with, what type of people you're going to speak to. And so when you get into this, you're talking about statistics. I know a lot of us have heard the phrase "numbers never lie," but the other part of that is that they can mislead. So in other words, you know, when you hear statistics and you hear them say, well, you know, unemployment is at an all-time high, or unemployment is this, or this is that under this presidency, and this is another thing under this presidency, you know, I never really get, you know, emotionally invested, because I know that if you got the right person, you can take the same numbers and say the exact opposite. And you'll see when we start getting into this stuff, like one of the things that, you know, when we start dealing with outliers, if you haven't gotten to that part of your definition, your outliers are very extreme values. They can be very, very large or very, very small. So those are outliers in comparison to your data set. So they'll tell you to run your data set or run your experiment with the outliers involved. If you have outliers observed in your data, run the data set with outliers, then run the data set without outliers. And whichever one fits your argument, that's the one you run. So in other words, if you were to run it with the outliers and somebody say, well, what about these data values? Aren't they outliers? You'll say, well, yes, but they were observations that I had, and they, you know, and they helped my argument. If you run it without the outliers and somebody asks you, well, what about these data values? You'll say, well, they were just outliers. And that's not the norm. You know what I mean? So you can use and play with these numbers and play with graphs and play with the tick marks and a whole bunch of stuff to make things look like you want them to look. And so when you start getting into statistics, you can really see that people can play with numbers and play with graphs and play with images all day, every day to try to sway people, whichever way they want to sway them. So, yeah, let me see. That was it. Let me make sure before I say my part of the shots. I think it's another class when we had something else extra. But before we go anywhere else, any questions? Any questions? Yeah, let's mean with the median. Okay. So I think those were the main things. But yeah, if you get into whether you chapter 1 or chapter 2 and you have any questions, like I said, you have plenty of opportunities to ask those questions come Monday. The main thing you guys need to do now is to get in there, get into my math lab. Someone asked about, let me see if I can find it. Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, there we go. Where your definitions are. Let's see if this is still logged in for me.
I just wanted to double check. We need to do the definitions, chapter 1 and 2, email them to you, and then we need to go on my math lab and do the 1.1, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all that's due by the 2nd.
No, not all of that. No.
Oh.
So that's what we're about to run through now, make sure everybody's clear. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So those definitions that she's referring to are right here. When you go into my math lab, go into the course shell, see your definitions are right here. And I'm gonna fix those question marks. They don't really have any bearing on, being able to, do the assignment, but I'm gonna fix that. They'll get that stuff out of there. But that's where your definitions are. It's right here under quizzes and tests. All right. And so if you want to cut and paste them, or if they give you an opportunity, I know if I reconvert them, they'll give you the opportunity to just be able to download them, but you can always cut and paste them. Or if you just want to write them out, it's up to you how you want to handle it. Questions on where you find your definitions. Everybody good? Everybody straight? All right. So now your definitions are due June 2nd. So we're looking at next Wednesday. And so if this is your first day, these definitions are in order. When you go to your e-text, the first definition or first bolded word you will see is statistics. The next bolded word you'll see is data, population, individual. It's all in order. So I didn't create a hard assignment. I wasn't creating it for, I wasn't creating a scavenger hunt or anything of that nature. All I was trying to do is get you guys familiar with the terminology. And instead of us going through a long, boring 2-hour lecture of me writing down what is statistics is, and I'm falling asleep and you falling asleep, you can go ahead and do this and familiarize yourself with these terms, while you're looking at the game or doing whatever it is that you do, and still be exposed to these words, and you can get an easy grade. So you will, do that. Shoot that to me in an email, by next Wednesday. And then I will, make sure you get a confirmation from me, email confirmation saying that I did receive it. If you don't get that from me, then don't assume that occurred. Sometimes I don't get every single email. Weird stuff happens, technology. And so you want to make sure that I get it. And then once I, get a moment, I will manually put in a grade into my math lab, confirming that, I saw it and you got your full credit for the grade. So yeah, you will get a grade for that. Like I said, it should be an easy grade. All you're doing is writing down definitions. And then like one of your classmates mentioned, your homework is right here. And a lot of the stuff, a couple of the things that you've done in your definitions will be in this assignments as well. Here you have 17 problems. Here you only have 8. So all of them don't have the same amount of definitions. See, this one's only 5. But you do want to do all of those. And then your first test is already there for chapters 1 and 2. So that's your first test. You get 2 shots. Your homework, you get unlimited amount of tries to get the best grade possible. Remember, you want to shoot for at least a 75. But if you want full credit, 85 is the mark. And don't forget, all of that is in if you go to Canvas announcements. If you didn't get the email, maybe signed on late, Canvas announcements has all the emails that I've already sent you guys. And that's where I always will put or archive all of your emails. which is in Canvas and Canvas announcements. All right. Now the due date right here says 8/8. Now that's fine. What you don't want to do, all it does is that leaves room for life to happen, and you don't have to ask me for an extension. What you don't want to do is wait to get started in chapter 1, chapter 2 stuff August 1st or something like that, because this stuff is not made to be done in a week or in a few days. You know, this stuff is can be light work. You saw one assignment was only 5 problems. This stuff can be light work if you're progressively doing this throughout the course. But if you set aside, like, yeah, Mr. Tucker, you know what I'm saying, this weekend I'm gonna get caught up on chapters 1 through 4. Don't worry about it. I got it. I'm off for work. I sent the kids away. You know what I'm saying? You did everything you need to do to have an empty house. But then the next thing you know, dog gets sick, the goldfish jumped out of the bowl. Like, you know, everything that could happen happens on the day that you set aside to do every single thing. And so you don't want to put yourself in that type of position. So progressively do this work as we progress throughout the course. And that's the safest way to make sure you stay on top of this stuff. Don't forget, we have 16 weeks worth of work that we're trying to cram into 10. So, you know, I'm gonna do my best to juggle this stuff and not hit you too much with a whole bunch of stuff, but we do have to get through, you know, the requisite amount of work. Somebody saying something in the chat. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. It just came to me. But yeah, so make sure you guys stay on top of this stuff. Please make sure you stay on top of it, because like I said, it can be light work, especially in the beginning. If you progressively do this stuff, but don't get too overconfident and be like, yeah, man, I get to it when I get to it. And the next thing you know, we're in chapter 5 and you're still trying to figure out chapter 1 stuff. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. Seen it many times before. So I'm just trying to shoot that warning out to you.
That was me last semester.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I didn't have you did I have you last semester?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought your name looked familiar. I was like, but you know. But it's okay though. It's okay, because we're gonna make it happen this time. We're gonna make it happen this time. Now, you shouldn't have to pay for the code again. You know, so you should be able to use the same one you used last semester. So just throwing that out there so you're not spending extra money. So yep.
Yeah, it works.
Okay, cool. Matter of fact, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email so I can talk to you about something. I want to check out something. Yeah, shoot me an email. All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments before we go any further? Make sure we're good. Make sure we're straight.
What's your average number of questions on your tests?
It differs. Yeah, it differs. Now, what you can do now, this one, I know we didn't have a test review. Normally you can look at the test review and that can kind of gauge it. I don't think I did I think that's my 161 when I gave them 40 questions on the test review, but it was not 40 questions on your test. See, like this one has 25 questions. So normally I try to stay around that. I try not to go too far. If I give you something like 30, it's because I gave you a few like bunnies in there, wherein this is like a yes no question, like to try to make sure, you know, I'm not blowing you up at the end with a hard question. So I'll probably give you some easy ones. But yeah, normally I try to stay around 20, 25, something like that. All right. Anything else? Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned the access code. You said something about Barnes and Noble. Is that where we get it? I was kind of confused on that.
Yeah. You could either get it from Barnes and Noble, and we're talking about TCC's, you know, access to Barnes and Noble. I don't know if you go to Chesapeake Barnes and Nobles if they'll have it. I'm talking about like going through TCC website and they have a Barnes and Noble link where you can get it from there. So that's really considered TCC's bookstore. Or you can purchase it through Pearson itself, through the website itself. When you go to register and everything, they give you the option to purchase it through the website itself.
Are they the same price?
I believe Pearson is a little cheaper.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
I have a question, sorry.
Yep, not a problem.
The My Map Up for the Pearson, that's the only thing that we need to purchase, correct? Or is there, like, the textbooks isn't, sorry, I just registered yesterday, so
not a problem. Not a problem at all. You don't have to apologize. You do not have to purchase a hard copy of the textbook because within my math lab, you have a copy of the ebook or the e-text. And so I don't make you have to buy a hard copy. Now you can if you like, but no, all you have to do is purchase access to my math lab, and then you should be good to go. And so if it's anybody's first day or your first time registering or anything, make sure you go into Canvas announcements and check out those 4 introductory emails that I sent, because there's some details in there that you want to be aware of. Just letting you know how we're going to operate with my math lab, and how we'll go moving forward. And then if you have any questions on it, feel free to shoot me an email or ask me next class. Just to be sure, you said we can write out the definitions. Yep. Someone was asking in chat, can you write out the definitions and then shoot me an email? Yes. So you're gonna shoot it to me in an email. But how you do it is up to you. Whether you write it out, whether you just type it out, whether you scan it, take a picture with your phone, whatever the case may be. You should be good to go on that as long as I can see it. As long as I can see the picture that you did it, then it's fine. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? I don't even think I made this screen available. No, I didn't. I was showing you guys that there was only 25 questions up here, and I didn't even make that screen available. Well, yeah, the first test is 25 questions. But anything else? Anybody else? Make sure we're good. All right. So if you guys are good, I'm good. Like I said, your thing to do now is to get into my math lab. Make sure you can register, without any problems. If you're not paying for it right yet, you still can do the 14-day free pass. So that will still give you access to do your definitions and give you the ability to jump into chapter 1, chapter 2's homeworks and go from there. Remember, I gave you that soft due date for chapter 1 and chapter 2, which was, I believe, June 13th. Yeah, June 13th. I was saying that I wouldn't want to still be in chapter 2 after June 13th, because by then, if we're not done with chapter 4, we would at least be in chapter 4. So you don't want to put yourself too far behind. So most definitely by June 13th. Once again, if you don't get it done by June 13th, there's no penalty. Just know that stuff is still piling, still coming at you. So most definitely you want to get it done as soon as possible. But to me, you most definitely don't want to be still doing chapter 1, chapter 2 stuff come June 13th. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Everybody good? All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Like I said, don't hesitate to get in contact with me if you have any questions or concerns. And I will see you guys on Monday. All right. Everybody take care. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thanks. Do the same. Y'all take care. Just be sure so we can write out the. Yep, not a problem. Thank you. Share. All right, everybody good to go before I close out?
Okay. You said, I see where the definitions are at. You said where did I find the answers for the definitions?
In the e-text. Hold on. If you go down here it says you can either click on e-text right here or chapter contents. And if I would hit chapter 1, go to chapter opener. This will take a little bit. So this is page 2 of the book. It's the same as this hard copy that I have right here. And so the first question is, what is statistics? And you see right here, statistics is the first thing.
Okay.
And then right here, next question was, what is data? Data is right here. So some of them are going to be in the green box. Some of them are just going to be bolded, but it's going to be notified. You'll be able to see it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Not a problem. You have a good one.
You too.
All right.